Thank you so much for joining us, Angela. I'm super excited. I'm so honored to have you. So thanks for tuning into Max Live Artist Studio Visit. I'm here with Angela Chao, and her Instagram handle is Mindless Doodles. So please tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela, and I live here in Mississauga in Meadowvale, Ward 9, and I'm a visual artist for the last about 5 or 6 years. So very briefly, I had a concussion, and after my brain just opened up and I was able to create art and just express myself through color.
That's amazing. And why do you create art?
Simple. It makes dresses of work.
Can you tell us a bit more about art as a therapy for your post-concussion symptoms? You're cutting out.
My post-concussion symptoms could be like I have a hard time putting things in words, or I get confused reading sentences. So for me, words weren't the way to go. When I went to see a neuropsychiatrist, they pretty much said I should write in a diary and write how I feel. But I had a really hard time crafting up a sentence. So from there, I started just doodling pen and ink on paper. And then I posted some on Facebook, and with the support of a lot of my coworkers, they said, why don't you try canvas painting? Why don't you try watercolor? Why don't you try this? From there, it just exploded. I just painted what I felt.
And you're so sensitive with colors, and you can see that as your backdrop. Can you show us a little bit of your studio, and maybe you can walk us through some of the process and the piece that you really, really love and resonated with you?
Sure. I'm going to turn my camera around.
Yeah.
So these two pieces over here were created for the Fusion Art Grant with Mississauga Arts Council, and we created 7 unique pieces that express different emotions. And from there, Susan Keselowski wrote 7 poems based on the emotions we were expressing, and we had a musician create music.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my more recent pieces that I've done.
Mm-hmm. Do you see patterns, and do you how there are those with I forgot what's it called, like synesthesia, where they can hear colors, where they taste the color, and sort of like patterns. Does that occur to you, or it just comes to you so naturally?
I would say it comes to me naturally. The color palette just happens. I close my eyes and all of a sudden I see something that I have to paint, and it comes out from beginning to end. I don't go back and add any finishing touches to my painting. It was like a full sentence of how I felt from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. And you have no prior background in studying like fine arts or anything?
I don't. I took arts in high school, but that was well over 20 years ago. I'm revealing my age right now.
But that's great. It's almost like a mixed media palette. Do you put watercolor and acrylic, oil, just a whole mix?
I would say it's mainly acrylic. It's more about creating texture. So these beautiful swoops right here are used with a feather.
Oh.
Watered down ink, like calligraphy type ink. So it's a little, you can't really see it. It's a bit raised and it's a bit high gloss. So it stays a little bit higher. And then this is just a palette knife. This was put into a squeezy bottle for thin lines. And then these are just an acrylic marker, these little white dots.
Yeah. They're gorgeous.
Tons of different textures. Create different feelings and different movements.
It's beautiful. Do you usually sketch out a concept and then you start?
No, definitely not. That's not the way I create. I'm not even sure if I would be able to work that way. I just create the flow first. I take the blank canvas and I use like one color paint, usually dark blue, and I create the movement. So it could possibly, in this case, it was like this type of movement. And then from there, I add color.
That's great. And do you listen to music while you create these pieces sometimes?
I listen to classical music actually when I create art, because I find classical music has every emotion that I could be feeling, whether it is happiness or whether it is a joy, or whether it is sadness. There are the darknesses in classical music, and then there are the light, which I find is sort of the key components of any pieces of art I do. Is I always start with the darkness because I am going through something emotionally, and from
Yeah.
I am finding the light.
Yeah.
It does transition.
Definitely. Have you ever turned your canvas like horizontally, vertically, and just different angles, and then it might look differently, or you just go at it and you know that this is the top and this is the bottom and this is how it's going to look?
That's a great question. I actually turn my canvas in all four directions. So this painting here is actually, you can actually view it in another way, which I will show you. So it was painted so that it can be seen in every direction.
Yeah, look at that. It's already so different, the energy and the motion.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll
Mhm.
show you another variation. So
Mhm.
if I put it side by side,
Yeah.
there's a completely different flow.
It's a completely different flow, completely different energy.
Yes, but it still is the same color palette. It is three
Yeah,
colors.
that is beautiful. And you know what I realized? Like you you're you're able to speak to the forms and the elements of design and color so naturally, and you have a way of using your bold thick black strokes, and then you also have another um, mind and series that doesn't include those thick black strokes. When you are faced with that, do you know that you're going to use the thick black strokes? Or you know that you know what, I can discard the black strokes because this is going to be something completely different.
I actually don't think I don't I don't plan my painting. It just comes out naturally. It's very hard to explain my
Mm-hmm.
process because it's based on emotion. I don't think about color. I don't think about textures. It just comes out like a sentence, like, this is the statement. This is how I feel at that moment in time. There's a ton of
Mm-hmm.
things going in my mind. Everything is just falling down on me, but my choice is always to find the light. Everything I create is about finding the light. And I think during my concussion, it's really very easy to choose the darkness because your brain is telling you a lot of negative things and it's telling you how to feel. And that's why there's a lot of suicides after
Yeah.
people who've had a concussion. And I fully can understand what they feel
Mm-hmm.
on through it.
Mm-hmm.
But in my case, I've chosen to look at the light. And during all these hard times, I actually decided to write like positive quotes on pieces of paper just to fool my mind that I was happy. And guess what? Most of the time it actually worked. So from there, I realized how powerful the mind is and how I have my own control for how I feel. And I can change that. I can change it. That's what I do through art is, there is darkness.
Yeah. And there are hints of it. Like exactly, like that area you pointed out, like those dark blues, right? And then it goes towards to a higher, brighter path.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
important.
Hmm. And I think the beauty of your painting is underneath all those beautiful hints of neon colors, underneath it, that process, you started off, as you mentioned, is because you've got, anxiety, you've got depression, and you paint over that. So there's so many layers on top of that, on top of that, on top of that.
Absolutely. It's like life. It's a process, we're all I always say it's not a progress. No, it's not a painting in process. It's a progress, like my own progress. This is how
Mhm.
I feel, I'm completely growing. Like I've changed quite a lot. I've gained a lot more confidence, not just in myself as an artist, but just in general. I know
Mhm.
who I am. I know I cannot change what I am.
Yeah.
This art skill has been given to me for some reason, and it is to keep creating, keep sharing my story, keep talking about mental health, keep helping others. And I
Yeah.
also teach for the Art Gallery of Mississauga, and it yields so many participants who keep joining back because we do talk about mental health. We do talk about color therapy. And why is the reason, why do you like blue? Is it because you're near the ocean? Is it because you like the sounds of the waves? Are the waves calming? You know, what's the importance of the color green? Could it symbolize growth?
Mhm. Mhm. Your subconscious work with your emotions and feelings, and we cannot express how important it is to have art in your life and explore. And you've recently got a launch pad for you to, like, make music, and you've also dabbled in writing and in poetry, and that is something new to you, but it is part of exploration. It is part of helping you cope and understand. That's why mental health needs to be shared, and there is solid proof here, right, with your beautiful colors and work. um, it's eminent.
Absolutely.
Look at those greens. Oh, look at those textures and patterns, those splatter. It is amazing to me to know that you have no prior training to that. Like you said, like, I've dabbled in high school, but it's in you. Like, it's in you, and I feel like it's in everyone to explore. You just have to try it, right? You just have to try it and just do it.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
what's interesting is my mind actually, when it's most relaxed, I paint in these teals and blues. And which
Mm.
doesn't really happen that often. A lot of my paintings, as you have seen, are insanely busy. But at this point in my life, I was completely at peace, and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Do you have your first piece of painting?
Oh, wow. What a great question. Let me look. Give me 1 second. Here's my gallery. So my first piece I actually created was on a ceramic plate. And oh, shoot. So I went to a craniosacral massage therapy, which is a massage for your head after a
Mhm.
concussion, and it helps you release a lot of tension because you have a lot of blood flow that is stuck around the neck and the head, which is why you have a headache. So after
Mhm.
that, the original one was done in Sharpie, and then I actually went over it with a ceramic
Wow.
marker.
This is
So
our first look into your first piece.
yeah, so
Yay!
I actually woke up from my massage, my head massage, and I started just doodling. And this is literally the first piece that I've ever created. And it wasn't intended to be a bird, but this is how I felt. I felt for the first time my mind was free. I wasn't held captive. I could speak again. I could think again. And this was it. This was how, and this is, if you look at my Instagram logo, it's actually the logo is Mindless Doodles,
It's Mindless Doodle.
mindlessly. And a
Yeah.
lot of people said, why is it not called Mindful Doodles? I said, my mind is not thinking at that time.
Yeah.
Though I am mindful, my mind is just in another space. It's in
It's
another
in
space where I can create. And there are no words. It's expressed through color, through texture. This is how I feel. You don't need to put things in words all the time. Like this piece I have here, I was going through some challenges in my life,
Mhm.
and you don't need to know about those challenges. That's
Mhm.
why art is beautiful. It's
Yeah.
understandable by everyone. It appeals to other people because they may be going through something emotionally similar, and they may
Mhm.
relate to this painting, or they may like yellow, or they
Yeah.
may blue, or it may match their paint color on their
Mhm.
walls. It's beautiful that way, that anyone
You
can
can
love art.
interpret. Mhm. It's great when you said that painting with the red, you struggled. There was so much struggle when you painted that. And my first impression when I saw it was, wow, I felt so happy. And that's what art is, right? You could be going through so much. There's a storm you're battling, and then you create something so beautiful, and then someone comes in and interprets that totally different, and they feel so alive looking at it. And
Yeah,
that's why art and mental health work hand in hand, right? It's just how you express it, and your emotions. It's beautiful.
you actually said something important. This is actually called Joy Rising,
which is the complete opposite of how I felt, but it is how you feel. So
Yeah.
we can name anything. We can name art anything, and it can appeal to anyone. From what
Yeah.
I go through, it could be related to depression, but guess what? There is also light. In everything, there's a positive and a negative. There is
Yeah.
darkness, but there is also light.
Mm. Do you feel sometimes you don't even want to name a piece because they have a life of its own? How important it is for you to name it and not name it?
That's a fantastic question. So this is actually how I come to creating a name. Is I write a short poem, like a haiku, maybe 3 lines of how I felt during the painting. And then from there, I take keywords from that poem that I created to create the title.
Wow. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh.
This I showed him. He said it reminded him of a Kandinsky print that he has at his home. So I was going to figure one day, and then I never did that because I never reproduced anything.
Yeah.
And this was part of my, I did a set of 6 paintings on ceramic, and it was my first gallery showing, and it was at Art Square in and I actually won People's Choice Award.
You go, girl. Love it.
It was crazy. Like, I showcased this, the emotions that I feel after a concussion or during a concussion at that time, and this was called anxiety. And I'm pretty sure you can understand it. It's like a complete different language. It's as if I don't know English. I don't get it, you know? So this is how I felt, and that was an piece. And this was, I can't remember the title of this, but it was something related to home. Can't find my home or something.
I love it. It needs to be turned into a massive wallpaper.
That would be really cool too, actually.
Yeah, it needs to be a massive wallpaper.
It's called Rebirth.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The other piece, but it was really cool to be like acknowledged that I was an artist. And during that gallery exhibit, I had a really hard time because people questioned me as, first of all, as an artist and not having a cohesive body of work. And as you see, I don't consider myself of having a cohesive body of work in the definition that other artists have. Mine is emotion. And if you look at it, it's very simple. But there were people saying, like, why is it called depression? Why is it really? I don't feel that way. You use bright colors. And it made me a little bit upset inside because I thought, you don't know what's going on in my head. You don't know how I'm feeling. After a concussion, everything's bright. It's as if like you just woke up and like your eyes are light sensitive and you see flickering lights. Everything is way too loud. Like you can't make a difference. I'm talking, and it's hard for me to cope.
Yeah.
So that's why I paint in bright colors, because that's how I see the world. That's how I see it through my eyes, because that is a concussion. That is concussion symptoms. So I didn't like that I was questioned why certain things were that. And then I realized that people actually don't have a lot of experience with those my concussion online, because it was just over and over again. It was always the same questions from a lot of coworkers and people I don't know from galleries. And I just thought, you know what, I got to share with the world how a concussion actually feels. So best way to do it is to paint it. Do it with words. People, through art, just mean one thing.
Oh, no, some of them are cutting out. The last sentence cut out.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
I did a series of these ones.
Oh, I would love to just, I would love, if it's not COVID and if you invite me, I would go over there in an instant. Oh my goodness. This piece just, oh, it gives me chills. And we talked about that. It's like that in between the red. It's like the storm, that pre-storm you see. It's so stunning.
It has so much emotion. This was one of the pivotal pieces in my life during this time frame when I was creating the series. I was going through a lot of changes, and I was trying to understand who I was and trying to be the person I was before the concussion. And then I realized, like, I don't need to change. I have changed, and
Yeah.
this is who I am, and I am accepting who I am, and it's okay that I'm an artist. You know, that's my
Yeah.
so this series was that time frame in my life, and this was the only one that I have left, and it was at Queen's Park.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
And
Wow.
it was commissioned by Saga Culture during the pandemic.
Yay.
Saga Culture wanted people to experience Mississauga through the digital form. So they chose different artists in different areas, and I was chosen for my area, Meadowvale, and I created pieces that I've seen on my walks, because I went for a lot of bike rides, a lot of walks. So
Yeah.
the little element that's in Saga Library, ladders, of a store. There's turtles, which Councillor Sato told me was there 30 years behind Mississauga Library.
Wow.
There's this painted bell box that I saw. And then there's these little peepholes that are through here that kids can play throughout. So it was a whole process. While I was creating, I was also in contact with the counselor. We talked about the different elements and counseling. So she's seen these evolve, and she's commissioned some of these pieces. And this is at under one of the rituals. And then this became, I submitted a proposal through Mississauga Arts Council to create a bell box. So this is actually on a bell box, Meadowvale, in front of Meadowvale Theatre.
Go check it out, guys.
Really, and I actually created little stickers of animals. There's over 100 animals on that bell box. Because I realized while I was painting that bell box, there's buses going back and forth, and there was kids walking around, and I chatted with so many children. And I wanted them to find, every time they went for a walk, they had something to look for. You know, there's a little giraffe, there's this, and there's also positive words scattered throughout, like imagine or create. So every time you walk by this bell box in front of Meadowvale Theatre, you can take something away from it.
That's so sweet. Oh, Alima says amazing artwork.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
So this piece, so Jacqueline Holmes, which is a musician in Mississauga,
wow.
part of a matchmaker grant last year, and she actually interviewed and had artists create pieces of art based on her music. So this is called Jazz Musician, and it's actually based on one of her pieces of music. So I listened to her music and I created. And I could feel the flow of music going through this. Maybe it's because I experienced it firsthand, but I see it.
I feel like when I see it, it's like when someone blows into a trombone, and then from that trombone, the strings and the colors just go right out of it, and it's just splat onto the canvas.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of abstract art. I remember like studying, and people would always question and ask, anyone can do abstract art. Anyone can just paint a huge red circle in the middle and call it abstract art. But really in context is, it's the emotions, it's the feelings. Someone might just feel a huge red dot in the middle and it's just translated on top. And look at those splatters of those hints of pinks and those dots and circles. It's so vibrant. And I think it's a very smart choice using a very dark black background to use it.
Yeah.
It really, really pumps up the color that you use.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. I think anytime you collaborate with someone and will form a new type of art, just like I did with the Mississauga Arts Council and the Fusion Art Grant, where we created a Feel It, which is a combination of art, music, and poetry. And in this case, it's art and music. it's a new form of art, and it's just like there's a synergy that happens between two people or three people or whoever is collaborating when they merge together with their art. A new type of is, it's magical, it's beautiful.
It is magical. This is so exciting.
I could talk forever.
I know we can talk forever, but we have to we have to end it, unfortunately. So last question is, do you have words to live by? Oh, look at that one. It's almost like cyberish to me. It's like cyberpunkish.
It is on how I feel all the time. My mind is racing, and if you actually go through the gears, there isn't an end. It's just consistent. The movement is consistent from one gear to another.
Wow.
Bicycle wheel. So this is how I feel all the time. My mind doesn't stop. It's called, there's a medical term for it. It just means you can't really stop for more than like 3 hours. Your mind is always doing something. You just need to, eliminate a lot of things in your life, but it's really hard.
And I think it's so good that you're using art to express it, because can you imagine if this is not the path that you choose, how pent up it would have been? It would destroy you internally.
I know. It all started because of the Marty's Award, actually. My very first award. I don't want to say pushed. A lot of people asked me to apply for it, and at that point I had a hard time filling out an application. So I actually got help to fill out my own application for this. And this was the push I needed because I received an award. I had all this confidence in me, and people started talking to me. Then I realized I'm not just like this I'm actually this. And from there, many other things. And art has led me in such an interesting path in life. Like you were saying, I can't imagine being bottled up, and I can't imagine people maybe not even supporting me at that time. Imagine if that didn't happen. Imagine if I didn't have the confidence. Imagine if I didn't have the push. Imagine if people didn't buy my art and I felt like there was a need for my art. Where would I be? So different. This would be a rec room. It wouldn't be a gallery space. Like, I can't without art. And the question you had before, I would suggest words to live by. I would probably suggest express what you feel. There are people who don't have hobbies, who don't have poetry or exercise or art or music. Find something. Find something to express how you feel inside and use that. And a lot of people ask me about, are you always trying to create a masterpiece, or is every piece a masterpiece? And I say, this is my process and my progress for me as a human. I'm not trying to create anything to it to sell. I'm creating it for myself. And it makes me feel a 10 better. I would suggest find your own passion and create. And it doesn't need to be a work of art. It doesn't need to be a beautiful poem. It doesn't need to be this amazing song. It doesn't need to have a million hits. Who cares? Do it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Do it for yourself and explore. Just go there and explore and just do it, because you never know what you'll discover, and it's a ripple effect, right? And because the art that you've put out for us, you're sharing that positive energy. It ripples outwards. And even now, I feel inspired. I want to go digging through my acrylics. And I know later today, you're going to go to Calden and you're going to paint. And I'm excited for you. I'm super jealous. It is a beautiful day. And I urge everyone, to go out there and have fun. On a last note, can you tell us your handle? We're going to put that marker at the end and tag you as well after we save this video there. So one last time, tell us your website and your social media handle.
My Instagram is at Mindless Doodles, and my YouTube is Angela Chao Bella. Angela Chao Bella. And that's where I have a lot of craft tutorials, as well as my interview series called Mississauga Creates, where I chat with local creatives about why they create art for their own mental health.
Thank you so much, Angela. I can't wait to like speak to you at other times, not on live. I'll give you a call, give you a shout. And enjoy today. And thank you again for everyone who tuned in. And make sure you join next time for our live, because we have another guest speaker very soon. So thank you again, and see you soon. Thank you, Angela. Bye. Bye, everyone.